So, check this out, people. How many of you guys remember 2019 and 2020 when you logged on to your YouTube account or simply logged on to YouTube and you saw all of these influencers, right? Trace Trades, Review Dork, Matt Kors, and all of these other influencers who were pumping AMC, GME, Dogecoin, and other stocks, right? But mainly these three, right? And how they were talking about how we were going to make generational wealth, right? And how we were going to beat the shorts. Now, today is 2024, and in a few months, we're going to be in 2025. And how many of you people have made generational wealth? How many of you people have made any wealth? How many of you people have even doubled the money that you've invested into AMC or GME? Or any other stock like BBBY, where all of these pumpers were putting their money into and enticing others to put their monies. And today the stock doesn't exist. The company doesn't exist. If you don't do your own research, if you don't get off YouTube and put your money into stocks that actually mean something, you will lose everything, people. Many already have. Many people have lost their jobs because they've been obsessed with the stock market. They believed at the time that they didn't need to work because they were going to become rich. Many have lost their homes because they put all of their monies, all of their earnings into AMC and GME. Many have lost their 401ks, their retirement money, because they followed influencers on YouTube who knew nothing about the stock market, who were just speculating, who were just guessing, and who were simply being stupid. There's no other way to say this, because when you follow people who believe that Roaring Kitty or Ryan Cohen or Adam Aaron, each time they tweet, they are giving hints to those who are watching, to the apes, to their followers. You have to be an idiot to believe that. To think that you're going to base your investments on someone's tweet rather than reality, rather than how the stock moves. And the fact that those people, for example, who invested in BBBY, once they saw that Ryan Cohen sold and the stock began to tank, instead of selling at least at a small profit or even at a break-even point, they decided to hold on to the stock because they believed that what was being tweeted was hints to Ryan Cohen's followers. And that's the stupidest thing I've ever seen and ever heard. These people who you follow on YouTube are everyday people just like you and I, who know nothing about nothing. These people get rich when you watch. These people get paid when you watch. Some of them make hundreds of dollars a month. Some of them make less than that. And others make thousands of dollars a month because you watch them, because you donate to them, because of your super chats, your Patreons, and your donations. And this is why these people continue to post a video every single day Every day. How these people do it, I'll never understand. I'll never understand how someone could get on YouTube 2 or 3 times a day and post nonsense because all they do is repeat the same thing. And just imagine how hard it is for me, who is always talking against these scumbags. I run out of things to say. And I post a video once a week, every other day, one video. And I run out of things to say. And these scumbags always have a new narrative about why AMC GME are going to squeeze every day. And the fact that after almost 4.5 years, the majority of people who watch them continue to pay them, continue to be fooled by them, because the only ones who are getting paid are those influencers who continue to pump these stocks. Now, I'm tired of mentioning their names, but every freaking time I get on YouTube, it's the same 3 people who are left today. It's New York Angelo, Donahue George, Lottery Stocks. These are the main 3 who pop up onto my feed every time I go on YouTube and type in AMC or GME. Now, for those who have been here from the beginning, you can see that the majority of apes who at one time were pumping AMC are no longer here. The majority of them. And those who are left continue every single day, 2 or 3 times a day, to promote the same nonsense. Why do they do that? Why, after 4.5 years, because we're going into 2025 in a few months, would these people continue the same thing over and over and over and over again? You don't ask yourselves that? The YouTube algorithm, every time these people talk about AMC and GME, the YouTube algorithm promotes their videos. They get thousands of views. People like me get no views, but they get thousands of views, and because of those views, they get sponsors, they get ad revenue, and some of these guys will sell you out for $100, $200 a month of ad revenue, because you don't make much money on YouTube ad revenue. You don't. And so the fact that these people continue to manipulate, to lie, to scam, to cheat those who watch them, it kills me. And it makes no sense to me that these people who watch them continue to watch. I just watched the documentary by James Janey, who made that documentary about GME and BBBY. A great documentary. Pretty short. He really didn't talk about anything that those who have been here from the beginning already know. I guess for those who don't know the whole story about GME and AMC, you may want to watch the documentary. It's really nothing new to those who have been here. But he did touch on some good points, and that's the conspiracy theories that these influencers have been feeding the majority of people who watch them. And every time the stock tanked, they had a new narrative. Every time the stock didn't do what they promised it was going to do, they'd move the goalpost. They make excuses for why the stock didn't squeeze, or for why it's tanking, or how it's supposed to be that way. And the majority of people follow. And it's sad to think that many have lost more than just money. A lot of these people have lost their families. They've lost their wives. And you know, it's funny because I watched an influencer who was making fun of the Marine, right? He's a popular GME pumper. And I'm going to talk about him without mentioning his name because he's a little weak and he cries a lot, right? And so he was making fun of the Marines a couple of years ago, maybe a year ago, about how the Marine's wife was going to leave him for losing all of their money on AMC. And because I've always believed that what goes around comes around, it turned out that this GME influencer lost his wife, and the Marine still has his family and his wife. And this GME influencer who lost his wife because he is obsessed with GME and Ryan Cohen. And this is just ridiculous. This is nonsense how grown men and women who have jobs and who have responsibilities put their life in the hands of people they don't know, in the hands of people they know nothing about. Nothing. And rather than being smart and intelligent and understanding that if you're a grown man or woman who has bills to pay, who has a family, and who has responsibilities, sometimes it's easier and cheaper to simply go to work, get your paycheck, take care of your business, pay your bills, take care of your family, and keep it moving. Instead, these people want to make generational wealth, and in turn, they're sacrificing what matters the most. And that's family. Because for these people who believe they're going to get rich because they own 500 or 600 shares of AMC or GME, that's not going to make you rich. That might get you a few $1,000s, but that's it. And for you to sacrifice your life, your family, your job, your pensions, your 401ks for a few $1,000s, that's ridiculous, because in the long run, if you hold on to your pensions and your 401ks and your jobs and your family, you can retire early if you're smart. Because retiring early is more important than gambling in the market and hoping that someday you can hit it big. Because the market is not to hit it big. The market is for people who want to have income in the future when they retire. It's a long-term thing. And if you don't put your money in the right stocks, you're going to lose it all. Just like these people who invested in BBBY, in AMC, and in GME. And I don't care what anybody says about GME. GME is not going to be here in a few years. It's not. Those people who keep pumping this nonsense about GME having cash on hand know that GME got that money off the backs of retail investors because they pumped and dumped. And so, for those people who watch, for those people who have been following these influencers, you have to grow up. You have to understand that the only way to go is to go to work every day and put in the time. Put in the time, because 200 shares ain't going to make you a millionaire. 300 shares ain't going to make you a millionaire. It's not going to. Hell, I owned over 10,000 shares of Dogecoin when it squeezed. I got my money and I left. Because stocks don't go to the moon. If I'd have held on to those stocks, I'd be where everybody is today, at a huge loss. Actually, not a huge loss, because I know better than to invest my home, my pensions, and my 401ks into the stock market. I put enough where I can make a few thousand and then I cash out. You see, because I'm a perfect example of what happens when you go to work every day. I'm a perfect example of that, because I retired some 12, 13 years ago. And I'm living my life happy in Southeast Asia because I was smart enough to put in the time. And people don't want to put in the time. They think that you play the lotto, you get rich, you get paid, and then your life is perfect. That's not how it works. The market doesn't work that way. And so, people, you got to get off YouTube. You got to You got to stop watching these influencers and letting them influence you by enticing you to hold on to these stocks. I mean, GME squeezed some three times, twice a few months ago, and once some 3, 4 years ago almost. And people missed out on the opportunity because they got greedy. These stocks, look, when stocks squeeze, they tank. It's a fact. All you have to do is go back in history and see every stock that has squeezed has tanked. The only stocks that have maintained their highs are stocks that have gone up organically. And GME never spiked organically. AMC never spiked organically, and neither did Dogecoin. Only stocks that go up organically, naturally, without squeezes, stay up and are worth investing into. And if a stock squeezes, a meme stock especially, you have to sell and get your money. You can always jump right back in as soon as the stock tanks, because if you haven't learned yet, history shows that these meme stocks that always spike tank the very next day. So anyone that keeps telling you that these stocks are going to the moon, they are lying to you. They have to keep this narrative going. They have to keep it moving. They need something to talk about every day. This is their livelihood. Their career is YouTube. And the day that you stop following and stop watching is the day that their career ends, and then they have to get a normal job or go to their miserable job that they hate. And they don't want to do that. They don't want to do that, people. They want to stay on YouTube. They want the easy way. They want you to keep paying them their super chats. That's what they want. And if you don't stop, and if you don't go ahead, and as soon as these stocks spike, you get your money, you will lose everything. The majority of people are and have already lost everything. How many influencers who are pumping AMC and GME are rich today? How many? All these people that claim that GME is a great buy, that it's about the fundamentals, that it's about long-term investment, because of course the narrative changed. It wasn't always about fundamentals, it was about squeezing the shorts. And when the shorts squeezed their shorts, then they had to change the narrative, right? And you people have to understand how these scammers work and how they manipulate you. And if you don't understand this and you haven't seen it, then there's a problem. There's an illness going on back home in the US, not just in the US, but in Canada, overseas, everywhere in the world, when it comes to this investment into these meme stocks. After the lockdowns during the coronavirus, people have been obsessed with becoming rich, believing that they can beat the system, believing that they can make generational wealth. And the fact is that no one in the market, no one on YouTube has ever made generational wealth other than Roaring Kitty and a few others who were pumping AMC and GME some few years ago. 1%. And the majority of people who follow these people lose. They lose because those who are pumping the stock sell while everyone else continues to hold. And I can say this till I'm blue in the face, and it won't matter because the majority of people are greedy. The majority of people are in this cult, and they are so obsessed that they're willing to lose their wives, their children, their family, their jobs, their homes, their pensions, and their life savings, simply believing what they hear and watch on YouTube. And so, people, I feel sorry for the majority of these influencers who have lost it all, who didn't know any better than to hold on to the stock when it spiked 3 times, who didn't know any better than to hold AMC when they invested some $30,000 of their savings into AMC, made some 200, 300,000, and because they were greedy, they didn't have the sense to sell and simply hold on to that cash. And if they felt the stock was going to go back up again, they could have jumped right back into the play and continue to make their money grow. Instead, they got greedy, they held, and when they saw their monies dwindling, instead of selling, when they saw that they were down some 10, 20, 30% max is what I'm willing to lose. Rather than selling, they believed the nonsense that they were being sold on YouTube and lost it all. How a man can invest 30,000 on a stock and sit there and watch that stock tank and not have the sense to take their money out makes no sense to me. This just goes to show the stupidity and how obsessed people are when it comes to these stocks. Because the majority of these people who were invested in AMC and GME, who are still in it today, always believed that they would never sell, which makes no sense to me because the whole point of investing is to make money. And AMC and GME and Dogecoin, including Nvidia, maybe BBBY, these were never long-term investments, ever. These were simply squeeze plays. And rather than understanding that, they took these influencers' advice and they lost it all. And these influencers continue to influence them on YouTube today, some 4 years later, because they continue to get paid. The only way these influencers continue to get money is not by investing their money into stocks, but simply by pumping stocks on YouTube and getting the views, the revenue, the sponsorships, and the monies that people pay them when they donate. So those are the only people who are getting rich. Just ask PP Show, whatever his name is, how in one day he made some 25,000 in a few hours. People paying him super chats. Bill Pote, these scumbags who you people have been deceived by. It just doesn't make any sense to me how gullible the American people are. I'm talking about the American dream. Go to work, bro. That's the American dream. This is why people come into our country illegally, legally, for whatever reason, however it takes to get here, they get here to work. They get here to put into the system because they know that in the end, they're going to be able to retire and not have to work so hard the way they do in their country. Instead, Americans are lazy. They want the easy way out. They want to get that quick money, that fast cash. And there's nothing worse than fast money because fast money comes and fast money goes real fast. So in the end, people, I don't know how long and how much longer I can keep this up. I don't know how these YouTubers do it. It's sickening to me. It's tiring. It's exhausting. I don't see how they can come up with some new narrative, new scenario about AMC and GME every fucking day. How these people do it, I'll never understand. This just goes to show how well these people are at scamming, because that's what they are. They're scammers. And unfortunately, people, you got scammed. You didn't get your money. Instead, these influencers took your money. Next time, get your money, people.